Hey, welcome to the after sermon where we sit down with the communicator from this weekend and talk a little bit more about the message that that communicator is given, maybe something that you didn't hear in the full message. So, super grateful to be here with Rick Dunn. He preached this weekend here at Plum Creek. And you just came off the
Yeah.
stage. Thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks for
absolutely.
preaching this morning.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Best time to talk.
Absolutely. What's one thing you hope that people walk away with from the message?
The simplest way I would say it, Eric, is lean in, not away.
Okay.
And in the storm or in the things that are hard or uncomfortable, at least I have a tendency to kind of lean back and say, hey, God, come and rescue me from this thing, versus leaning in and finding out that is actually where he wants to meet me.
That's a hard truth, isn't it?
It's
You use this phrase, that's an inconvenient
it's a
truth.
very inconvenient truth, because I'm 64. I've been walking with the Lord a long time. Eric, it will never become my default. I used to think that when I'm really old, like I'm getting there, I'll just want to follow Jesus. My flesh will be like, let's go. And actually, it takes the Spirit of God to continue to keep me following him. And so, yeah, it's inconvenient, but it's also very hopeful because there's purpose in that. That's not just some random thing that happened in my life. There's purpose in that, and the purpose is him.
Can I ask you a question? When you use the phrase inconvenient truth, I was sitting there and a bunch of things flooded through my mind. Like when we begin to really think about storms, there's much inconvenient. One truth that came to my mind, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, is that there's an inconvenient truth that storms do come, right?
Yes.
But you don't get to pick the storm.
That is very true. Very true. And that just heightens the significance of understanding surrender. Because you not getting to pick the storm is the very thing that will force you in a loving way, not a wrestling you to the ground way, but in a loving way will cause you to have to say, actually, I don't have control of this. And when we release the control, that's when we can start leaning in.
What's the problem? Like, why is it that you've been doing this for a long time, been a pastor for decades. What's the thing with control? Why are humans why is that so hard for us?
Well, I mean, we're made for survival, all our instincts, and it's a good thing, I mean, we don't have bears chasing after us here, but we have things that come at us.
Well, we're in Colorado.
We're in Colorado.
Sometimes we have bears.
And I go in these trails, and there's always a sign about a mountain lion, a bear, or a rattlesnake. I'm like, whoa! And I'm not in Tennessee anymore, right?
That's exactly right.
But yeah, it's just so we're just so wired, and think of the efficacy we have in our lives. I mean, we do work. We have these incredible bodies that can create things and move things and do things, and we can think amazing things. Our brains are just all this wonder, right? And we're used to directing it, and it can be directed for really good purposes. And then all of a sudden, something comes that's overwhelmingly greater than that.
Yeah.
And like, can I trust that? And so it takes a lot of experience to begin to believe that, yeah, I can actually trust that which I don't control, that which I can't make happen, that which I can't understand, because as scripture say, his thoughts aren't my thoughts, his ways, they're higher. So there's a sense of like, Jesus said it, you need to become like a child. And that just feels a little scary.
Well, if we can't, it is an inconvenient truth that you cannot choose your storm. So then how do you prep for this reality,
right? That
in this life, we will have trouble.
Yeah. Jesus promised. Yeah.
So how do you prep for it? What do you do?
So, in my understanding of what I do is I try to be as grounded in who he is and who I am as possible, to see life as an opportunity given to me to know him better and have him know me. I'm going to need people nobody does that alone. I mentioned it, nobody does this alone. It's such a bad idea to think we can do this alone. So I got to have some people around me, some people that like say, hey, Rick, I think that's about you, buddy. And it's loving. It's not a slam. It's an invitation for me to really explore. Okay, I see that. Having a strong marriage, really allowing myself to take the risk of being known in my marriage, which is the scariest thing for me of any of my
Yeah,
relationships.
right.
But it also begins to allow me to understand what it's like to be in that scary place with God. So it's really like if you think it's a posture. I think you like that word a lot. I've heard
Yeah,
you use it.
I do.
It's a posture that we learn that when the storm comes and we get out of that posture, we're like, oh, I need to get back to that posture. So if we not practice and learn that posture in some smaller things and daily things and relationships, then when the storm comes, we don't know how to access that posture. And the posture is everything.
Yeah, the posture is everything, isn't it? I mean, I think that's part of what you're saying is storms will come. It's not a hopeless sense of, well, there's nothing you can do. Man, no, you can't control the
That's
storm.
right.
You don't get to pick it. There is no fast forward button, right? You don't get to fast forward it,
No.
but there are things that you can do. Like
Yeah.
there are there are things in the seasons when there aren't storms
Right.
that you can do.
Okay, so you and I have had a chance to talk with each other about storms.
Yeah.
We've talked about
Yeah.
our lives in a storm, and every one of those storms, we're not like, I don't want to repeat that.
Right.
But we also came out of that with a different way of imagining our lives and what they're actually about. So when that next storm comes, I can recognize that, oh, okay, this again, it's an invasion, but it's also an invitation. And I want to lean into it.
You know that I wrote several things that I was listening, and that leads to one of the last things I wrote down about an inconvenient truth. When it comes to storms, this will probably change you. Oftentimes in storms, we say,
Mm.
"I need to get back to normal." Like I just got to.
Right.
That's this speed to get back to normal, and the reality is that this will probably change you.
That's right. So the whole physical world is about homeostasis, right? It's
Yeah.
about getting back to equilibrium.
Yeah.
And so we're going to be internally, we're going to be geared towards that. But that would actually be a loss of opportunity
Yeah.
if we just try to go, because coming out of that, like I said, we're different, we've changed, but it's a qualitative, it's a posturing change that actually, and I'll tell you this for those who've watched and listened, the one of the most beautiful things, and you know this about having come through the storm, is turning around and walking with somebody else through theirs.
That's a true statement.
And you can't, if you haven't been through it, I mean,
You don't-
one of the advantage I told my daughter-in-law recently, the advantage of being 64 is just the knowing.
Yeah.
I just know some things.
Yeah.
And I can share those with others. And the storms are where I learned a lot of those things.
God is more interested in your transformation than your restoration.
100%. And your comfort and all those things. That's
Yeah,
right.
for real. Hey, thanks for sharing with us.
Absolutely. Thank
For real, thanks for people who are listening. There's probably a few going through some storms.
I would imagine there's quite a few going through the storms, or just coming out of one, or feeling it coming.
Yeah, thanks. So grateful that you joined us. And as always, if you want to catch the entirety of the message, you can do so. You can listen on any of your podcasting platforms of choice, or watch the message on YouTube. And I think you'll be glad that you did. So grateful for you and grateful for you. Thanks, man.
Grateful for you. Thanks.
Yeah.